today, General Motors announced that it was closing some of its American and Canadian plants and that it's discontinuing some of its slow-selling models like the Chevy Volt. In all, about 14,000 GM workers are expected to lose their jobs. This is white-collar jobs as well as factory workers. President Trump had this to say about the GM cuts.
I believe they'll be opening up something else, and I was very tough. I spoke with her when I heard they were closing. And I said, you know, this country's done a lot for General Motors. You better get back in there soon. That's Ohio. And you better get back in there soon. So we have a lot of pressure on them. You have senators. You have a lot of other people, a lot of pressure. I have no doubt that in a not too distant future, they'll put something else. They better put something else in.
They better put something else in there. Joining us now to discuss this is former New York Stock Exchange spokesman and the author of Digital Assassination, Rich Torrenzano. Rich, great to see you.
Good to see you, John. Thanks for having me back.
Always a pleasure to talk to you. Now, you heard what President Trump had to say there, and we know that GM CEO Mary Barra met with White House Chief Economic Advisor Larry Kudlow about this today. What can the White House do to get GM back on its feet?
Well, first, let's take a step back and let's really look at what's going on, politics aside for a second. What's going on here really is technology, and technology is having a real impact on jobs. We used to call it CAD/CAM, computer-aided design, computer-aided manufacturing. Now we call it robotics. But robotics are taking over a lot of the manufacturing opportunities across the world, not only in the United States and North America, but across the world. Robots don't get sick. Robots show up on time. Robots don't take vacations, and with a little bit of oil and whatever, they're there almost every day. So one, you have a technology impact that's really having an impact on manufacturing jobs. And I think this is the first of something we're going to see coming out in 19 and 20 quite a bit, probably starting with the auto manufacturers and then going to other manufacturers. Secondly, Secondly, you have.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Secondly, you have the opportunity for GM to take a step back in a good economy and to really cut down their product lines and eliminate product lines which are either not very profitable or not profitable at all. As we as a country move to SMVs.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about next, Rich. You know, you look at where some of these more popular selling cars and trucks are built. A lot of the SUVs that are popular with GM are made now in Mexico. Other models that are going to be popular in China are going to be manufactured in China. Is this a situation where GM just guessed wrong on what cars to make in this country, or were they intentionally making more popular cars in places like Mexico where it's cheaper to manufacture them?
I don't really know, but I think the president, you know, people are always surprised by the president's comments. I'm not. It's make America great again, America first, jobs for America. He's going to put a lot of pressure on GM and other manufacturers to bring jobs back from overseas, whether it be Mexico, China, or Canada. The politicians jump up and down about these jobs, and I understand that. These are real people and real people's lives, and they're important. But we should look at retraining these people in high tech and other kinds of jobs. That's what needs to be done now, not just doing politics, but how do we take these people and retrain them for technology and other kinds of jobs that are going to be necessary in the next 5 to 10 years.
Right, you mentioned those robots. I mean, there has to be somebody that programs these robots. Somebody has to do the quality control on these products. Robots cannot do this. There are jobs associated with robots that can be created. Rich, long term here for GM, do you think this spells any kind of more significant trouble for our economy as a whole? Is this a problem that's isolated to GM, or are we going to see more layoffs with some of these major auto manufacturers or other manufacturers in the sector?
Well, GM went up about 5% today, just shy of 5%. And if you look at GM stock over the last 10 years, really coming out of the bankruptcy 15 years ago, GM stock was down about 10%, while the overall market during that time is up about 45%. So what GM is doing is looking out at the future and saying, listen, we need to make some strategic decisions here. Where should we put our resources? Where should we be opening plants? How do we close down lines, products that are not as profitable or profitable at all, and let's get out of them now while the economy is good. It's a good strategic move. The question is, I'm not sure how savvy politically they were in not anticipating the president's remarks.
Times are certainly changing indeed. Rich Torrenzano, great to see you.
You bet. Thanks, John.
All right, Rich mentioned the markets here. GM did not get hurt in the stock market today, as Rich was talking about. GM shares, as he mentioned, were up almost 5% and were among the biggest gainers on the day. Overall, the Dow Industrials average closed more than 350 points higher. The tech-heavy NASDAQ closed up more than 140 points higher, thanks to a strong day from Amazon. Online Black Friday sales were strong, as well as Cyber Monday sales were strong as well for key web retailers. All right, a key figure in the Mueller probe decides not to take a plea deal. Who is it? And what does that refusal tell us about the future of the Russia investigation? That's next. Newsmax Now continues after this.